Hello and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I am Lydia Odije-Ochi. We thank you for joining us. The Federal Executive Council has approved more than 8.3 billion naira for the completion of the reconstruction work on Sokoto-Tambuwal-Jega-Makera Road project in Nigeria's northwest sub-region. Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola announced this while briefing journalists after the council's meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
The Executive Council chambers of the Presidential Villa once again comes alive. Nigeria's highest policy decision-making body reconvenes to consider proposals for national growth and development. This is the 42nd meeting to be held virtually in the new normal and 13th for the year 2021. Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola is seeking the Council's approval for another memo aimed at sustaining efforts at addressing the nation's infrastructure deficit for national growth and development. This time in respect of the ongoing contract for the rehabilitation of Sokoto-Tambuwal-Jega-Makera Road, for which an argumentation of 8.39 billion naira has been approved.
And the reason was for price changes essentially between 2012 when the contract was awarded and now materials and costs have changed, and also the scope of works of the 85 kilometers of the road has to be changed now from rehabilitation to reconstruction because it has deteriorated from when it was awarded 12 years ago.
He said the first section of the road contract, covering 296 kilometers, has already been completed.
The entire 296 kilometers is now motorable. About 100 kilometers of the second section, which is the subject of augmentation from Yauri to Makera, has been completed. So we just have about 85 kilometers to go.
Other resolutions adopted at the council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari were not made public. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Rivals reject Debi's son inheriting power as neighboring African leaders express shock and dismay at Debi's death, Obiageli Ugoke reports.
Opposition politicians in Chad have rejected the army's appointment of the late President Idris Debi's son to take over in the wake of his death. Debi, 68, who had been in power for 3 decades, died after being shot as he battled rebels on the front line. The rebels have also objected the move. The group said Chad is not a monarchy. Mahamat Idris Deby was in charge of the Presidential Guard and is to lead the country for 18 months until elections. Experts have said the move is unconstitutional and that the Speaker of Parliament should take over when a sitting president dies before organizing elections. World leaders have called for dialogue between all parties, including the rebels, to prevent the country from sliding into chaos. Meanwhile, Chad has reopened its borders a day after shutting them following the death of a long-time ruler, Idris Deby. A 9-term curfew has also been slightly relaxed. Obiageli Ugoke, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria is asking people of Chad Republic to explore all avenues for a dialogue and not allow present situation destabilize the country. The message was sent through the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jeffrey Onyama. Usman Aliyu now reports.
A trying moment for Chad, fighting armed rebels on one side and then cooling down tensions of leadership on the other. Foreign Affairs Minister Jeffrey Onyama said Nigeria is so much concerned with the situation in Chad because it does not want to lose the gains it has so far achieved in fighting terrorism in the Lake Chad and the Sahel, a support it enjoyed from late Idris Deby. Jeffrey Onyama explained that Nigeria is determined to mainstream within the framework of the Economic Community of Central African State ECOWAS, and the African Union for an early return to democratic governance in Chad. Onyema added that such stabilization move in Chad will ensure peace not only in the country but other regions of the Sahel. Armed rebels in Chad are still fighting even after Idris Deby was killed in the front line in northern Chad. Usman Aliu, NTA News.
Security personnel intensify search for the abducted students of Greenfield University along Kaduna-Abuja Highway. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachikun reports.
Located about 40 kilometers away from Kaduna city center along the Abuja-Kaduna Highway, Greenfield University, a private institution, came under attack by bandits Tuesday night. The bandits were said to have gained access through a nearby bush behind the school.
Unspecified number of students were kidnapped.
Security personnel are keeping track of the abducted students for their safe rescue. For now, security personnel are keeping vigil on the institution, in addition to routine surveillance along Kaduna-Abuja road. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachikun, NTA News.
Now, let me bring in Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, to bring us up to speed on the abducted students. Mr. Commissioner, can you tell us what the situation now is? Welcome on Nationwide.
Well, as we speak, troops of the Operation Thunder Strike and other security operatives working in the general area following the abduction of the students, which occurred last night. Furthermore, there are a number of students that were evacuated last night immediately after the search and rescue, where a staff of the university was killed by the armed bandits. So the students that were evacuated last night have been handed over to the school authorities this afternoon. This is the latest. It may also interest you to know that we are still checking the records in order to know the exact number of students that were kidnapped.
Okay, Mr. Commissioner, I'm quite curious. With the last abduction of students from the College of Mechanization, FACA, were there no security measures in other schools in the state to avoid further abduction of students?
Well, what you should know is this. There are indeed security assets on the Kaduna-Abuja road with several points on the road. But this institution is off the road. It is situated hundreds of meters away from the Kaduna-Abuja road. And what is also important for you to know is the fact that troops were able to move to the location. And that was why the bandits retreated. Now, to come back to your question, security issues are very dicey. They are very complicated. From a distance, you will assume that it is something that you can contain within the twinkle of an eye. But we are on our feet and we are doing our best. And if you also look at the location, how the bandits find their way, there is no perimeter fence to the hostels. Anyway, what is important now is troops and other operatives are working in the general area. And immediately after we had security challenges related to schools in Katsina, Zamfara, and Niger states, Kaduna State government carried out a thorough assessment of schools that are vulnerable. And schools where our assessment showed that they are vulnerable, we were able to distribute them to other locations. But the institution in question is a private school, is a private university owned by an individual. There is very little that we can do, but what is very clear is we are on our feet. There are so many factors that are responsible for this. You have to look at the role of informants. You also have to look at the terrain. There are many other factors. So on our own side, we are doing the best that we can. You can see what happened in Ikara. You can see what happened in Birnin Gwari, where attempts were made to kidnap pupils and secondary school students, but because of the mechanism that we put on ground, the attempts were unsuccessful.
Really look forward to hearing positive updates from your end on the abducted students. Thank you very much for joining us on Nationwide.
You're welcome.
Be talking to the Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan. Let's go on a break. Nationwide continues after. Welcome back. The newly established police special constabulary under the Community Policing Initiative have been deployed across Nasarawa State to complement security personnel. Governor Abdullahi Sule, while addressing them in Lafia, urged them to shun corrupt practices and live above board in the discharge of their duties. Aliu Tijani has more.
After months of rigorous training, members of the Police Special Constabulary are set to tackle security challenges. Among other things, they are expected to work closely with the locals to bridge the trust gap in line with the objective of community policing. Governor Abdullahi Sule tasked them to discharge their duties diligently without fear or favor. He warned them not to compete with other security agencies in the state, as their role, he said, is to complement in containing insecurity, crimes and criminalities in the society.
This administration believes in the security of our state, in the welfare of our people, and we can achieve that without your own support. That is the reason why we brought you mostly from the local communities where you are going to be posted to.
For the police command in the state, they are assured of partnership to make the state safer for all.
We are recruited by the government to very needed information that will be manufactured into intelligence. And intelligence is the sine qua non for effective policing.
The police solicited for cooperation of all in the state as it synergizes with other security agencies to achieve sustainable peace. In Lafia, Aliu Tijani Mohammed, NTA News.
The Ebonyi State Governor David Umahi has confirmed fresh killings of 2 persons over land dispute between Ezilo and Iyonu communities in Ishielu local government area of the state. The governor made the confirmation when he visited the area and other troubled communities in the state. Chika Okorie reports.
The renewed hostility following land disputes between Ezulo and Iyonu communities is another ugly incident that has led to loss of lives in Ishielu local government area, just few weeks after a Gedegede bandits attack that claimed many lives and property in the same local government area. Addressing angry Ezolo youths who blocked the federal highway as a way of expressing their anger, Governor David Umahi appealed for calm and promised to deploy more security personnel to the disputed area. He warned against reprisal attack.
Don't take laws into your hand by blocking the road. The federal government and state government will come against Ezolo. We know how many people were killed on this road when the other crisis started.
Also at Umogudu Akbumbu in Ohuku local government area of the state, where alleged bandits recently destroyed lives and property, the governor promised the sum of 40 million naira to cushion the plight of the victims.
Government of Ebonyi State, by reason of your request, is going to release the sum of 20 million to the families of the victims, and another 20 million to the families of the victims at Egedegede.
The governor also visited Effium community where peace is gradually returning after months of wanton killings and destruction due to a misunderstanding among union members in the area. In Abakaliki, Chika Okore, NTA News.
You're still watching Nationwide. Michael is in our Lagos studio with more reports. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Lydia. 9 suspects were recently smoked out of their homes by the Federal Operations Unit Zone A of the Nigeria Customs in connection with the importation of goods worth 3.1 billion naira in duty-paid value. Correspondent reports that the Customs used the platform to emphasize the need to adhere to extant laws guiding international trade. The Customs is not actually operating in isolation, but backed up with relevant anti-smuggling law to check counterproductive acts detrimental to the economy. In exercising Section 158 of the Customs and Excise Management Act 2004 as amended, which empowers the agency to patrol and search everywhere without restrictions, the Customs intercepted these 2 trucks conveying what might ordinarily look like raw and processed cassava at Songwater. But after thorough examination, these 42 drums of calcium carbide were discovered.
You can now imagine this one, if it's been allowed to enter into, or to people who are bad people, the danger that it will cause is too much.
The interception of close to 3,000 kilograms of Indian hemp further highlights the power of the agency to act accordingly once the items in question fall under prohibition. Despite an existing ban on tramadol, the Federal Operations Unit Zone A was still able to intercept 546 cartons, while 20,538 bags of foreign rice were also seized.
We have 9 suspects who are attached to other seizures, of which 2 we are now being detained, while 7 of the suspects we are now released on administrative bail.
The Customs is emphatic in its clarion call that the anti-smuggling war is a collective one based on the tendency of some of the seizure to stimulate insecurity and drug abuse. Few days into the withdrawal of services by the e-cab operators in Lagos State, residents who have relied on this mode of transportation for a long time are lamented the effects of these developments on their daily routines. Imole Atokide Ogunfowora reports that the e-cab operators are complaining about the poor condition of service meted out on them by the concerned authorities.
Peace Ede, a National Youth Service Corps member in Lagos State, says she depends largely on internet cabs for mobility due to affordability and security.
I feel it's less expensive in a way and also comfortable. You get a comfortable ride. You don't have to squeeze yourself.
While she is thankful for this convenient means of transportation, more so that she doesn't have to put up with the risk of contracting COVID-19 on a city bus, the internet cab drivers working with tech companies just by registering on the apps say they are losers in the equation. Now, they are demanding an increment of e-cab fares in order to break even. They are also requesting the commission on rights accruing to the tech companies be reduced from the current 25% to a modest 10%.
They are not a transport company. They are a technology company. They deploy technology to facilitate a link between drivers and the rider. It is Nigerians that are deploying cars.
The e-cab operators also lamented the spate of insecurity members are forced to contend with.
Daddy, as a name, Daddy, we have SI, we have priest, we have ghost. See, why would their system accept such? And that rider is going to order us to an unknown destination. This app company, they're supposed to provide the details, even if the driver arrives at the destination or not.
The agitated group is appealing to the federal government to prevail on the companies by regulating their code of conduct in line with stipulated labor laws. As at the time of filing this report, the tech companies denied response. In Lagos, Imole Ayotukide Ogufowura, NTA News.
That is it from here. The news continues with Lydia in Abuja.
Many thanks, Michael. The federal government is expanding consultation with relevant authorities to block financial leakages, harness more opportunities, and increase revenue generation for the benefit of all stakeholders in the mines and steel sector. Minister of State, Mines and Steel Development, Uche Chukwuoga, said this at various engagements while on a working visit to Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
The minister's visit to Rivers State is in furtherance of the efforts by the federal government to diversify the economy, create more jobs, and expand the opportunities in the solid mineral for the benefits of all stakeholders. Rivers State is endowed with a number of the solid mineral deposits, while the federal government is concerned about the illegal mining activities and leakages in the revenue generation. The minister tasked operators to register and do legitimate business.
We have what we call small-scale mining lease. We give you the certificate so that you can mine, make a living.
Key concerns for the operators in the industry are the issues of funding, multiple taxation, and the need to consolidate the collaboration for mutual gains. The minister had earlier met Governor Nyesom Wike at Government House Port Harcourt, where he sought the support of the state government, stressing that the state stands to receive additional 13% of revenue generated in the sector if properly regulated.
So much minerals are bound. You talk about gold, you talk about so many things in other states, like what you said, the dredging here and the rest of it. If those areas are paid attention is given to, you see that the country will make a lot of revenue from it.
In the course of the minister's visit to the state, he also took a tour of some of the operators' facilities in Port Harcourt. Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
Digitization of operations of the civil service of the Federation assumes a new dimension with the formal presentation of Standard Operating Procedures Manual to head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Fola Shadi Yemieson. Modalities for the replication of the operations down to the local level are also being worked out. David Aire reports.
Across the Federation have operated manually with files and documents sometimes missing in transit. The recent outbreak of COVID-19 exposed the inadequacies of such offices when many workers have to operate from homes. Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation has therefore commenced overhaul of the nation's official businesses with 4 selected NDAs as pilots for the implementation of the Standard Operating Procedures, SOP.
We want this to go around every institution. So we're making those things. And also we're working with Savicom. We want to ensure that we don't just have those SOPs and then leave them on the tables. The consultant is also training Savicom officers to come in and monitor how we're using those SOPs.
The operation is in partnership with the private sector.
If you want to take yourself to the first world, you've got to standardize your processes, you've got to document them, you've got to prepare them for the digitalization that is, overcoming everything.
A team of experts drawn from the civil service are to work with Savicom to ensure full implementation of the digital operation. In Abuja, David Aire, NTA News.
Digitalizing Nigeria to be in tune with the 4th Industrial Revolution is set to be on course, with the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, leading the process. To this end, the Director General NITDA has, at the 20th anniversary conference of the agency, listed the milestones and destinations being pursued at present. ICT correspondent Joseph Johnson was there.
Having missed out on the 3 earlier industrial revolutions, Nigeria set out to move hand in hand with the pace setters, and so the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, was saddled with the responsibility of taking Nigeria there in all sectors of the economy. 20 years after, how has the agency fared in making Nigeria digital?
There is no doubt that there were a lot of achievements recorded by the agency since its establishment. These achievements include huge ICT contribution to GDP from less than 0.5% in 2001 to more than 14% today.
The agency now is one of the most effective, most relevant, and most performing institutions of the federal government of Nigeria.
The story of NITDA explains Nigeria's journey to a digital economy, as its creation in 2001 signaled a collective resolution to embrace digital transformation. Although the ovation for NITDA's 20 years performance is high here, the Director General says he is already looking forward, to unveiling a new strategy that is expected to raise the bar, a notch higher, preparatory to the agency's Silver Jubilee anniversary. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
You're still on to Nationwide. Our next stop is Makurdi, and Susan is standing by with more reports. Hello, Susan.
Hello, Lydia. You're welcome to Makurdi. Barely 2 days after a tanker explosion that killed 12 people and destroyed many properties in Oshibudu, Agatu local government area, another tanker explosion has occurred in the same locality, this time around without fatality. Simbiat Agbaji reports that though no life was lost, properties were again said to have been destroyed.
Oshibudu in Agatu local government area has experienced 2 tanker explosions that occurred back to back, leaving the agrarian community devastated. The last one was still a tanker conveying petroleum products that exploded a few meters away from the first explosion on Sunday, the 18th of this month. The second explosion, which occurred in the early hours of Tuesday, 20th April 2021, however, recorded less casualties as most residents fled away when they saw a falling tanker. An indigene of the area and deputy majority leader of the Benue State House of Assembly, Godwin Abu Edo, who spoke on the incident, appealed to motorists to exercise caution.
Most of them are not very conversant with the roads. And from Atagani to Oshibudu, where it happened twice, there is like a slope into the town. And vehicles that are not conversant with such a road might see it as a very good road with a lot of product and go with speed.
To realize, apart from even the driver's recklessness, the community put on woods and creating a sort of barricade which are so close to each other. And we realize the meandering of such longer trucks is constituting factor to most of the crashes there.
Residents are calling for the erection of speed breakers as a means to compel motorists to slow down and by extension avert incidences of vehicle overturns. In Makurdi, Simbiat Agbaji, NTA News.
Benue State government, traditional rulers and stakeholders have pledged to combine forces to tackle banditry and all forms of criminality in the state. This was at a stakeholders meeting convened by Governor Samuel Otom at Government House, Makurdi, to strategize on how best to tame the tide of insecurity in various parts of the state. Charles Abba reports.
The stakeholders meeting at the instance of Governor Samuel Otom is not unconnected to the surge of criminal activities in various parts of the state. The most recent is the killing of 12 soldiers in Konshisha by bandits, for which the governor briefed Benue stakeholders on the efforts made so far to douse the tension.
With the combined effort of all the security men, the State Security Council, the Traditional Council of Benue State, and government
officials who were able to recover 10 of those AK-47 and one machine gun.
The Tortive and Chairman, Benue State Traditional Council, Professor James Ayase, the representative of the Chidama, Chief Baba Odangla, and Mzo Tiv Yobe here were unanimous at garnering support for the peace of the state.
I call on your government, the political class, the religious class, to support the Traditional Council in ensuring that they play their role in ridding our communities of criminal elements.
Other stakeholders like Senators Barnabas Gemade, Gabriel Suswam, and Abba Moro attributed the insecurity in the state to some criminally agitated youths. The meeting therefore issued a communique which was read by Governor Samuel Ortom.
The meeting condemns in strong terms any form of attack on security agencies. The meeting mandates the governor to lead a delegation of Benue State to visit the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces to condole him and apologize for what has happened.
In Makurdi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
That does it from Makurdi. It's back to Lydia in Abuja for more reports on NTA nationwide.
Many thanks, Susan. We'll now take another break. Thanks for staying with us. Nationwide continues as we join Zinret in Jos for more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Zinret.
Thank you, Lydia. Good evening and welcome to Jos. Professor Julie Enewa-Oshi of the Department of Applied Psychology, University of Jos, has emphasized the need to eliminate all forms of harassment at workplaces for harmonious living and improved productivity. This was at the 93rd inaugural lecture of the University of Jos. Cameron Kaneng-Ladoja has details.
In the inaugural lecture titled Social Norms, Values, Male Dominance and Workplace Harassment in Nigerian Organizations, a Paradox, she identified the family, culture, and society as some factors responsible for stereotypical beliefs leading to unfair treatment, especially amongst women. To this end, she notes that the workplace should be governed, protected, and operated by moral codes in order to free it from any type of harassment.
I've been a victim of harassment myself as a student and as a staff. And I said to myself, I have to speak out so that several other people, men and women, will understand that it is not healthy to experience harassment, because when you experience harassment for a long time, it tends to translate itself to frustration, and it can cause you a lot of problems.
The Vice Chancellor represented commended the professor for quality and educative delivery, saying it will impact positively on victims of harassment at workplaces. Participants expressed gratitude to the university's management for its continued efforts in producing quality leaders. In Jos, Ekemarin Kaneng-Ladoja, NTA News.
Pope Francis has conferred Archbishop Matthew Ishaya Audu with the pallium as the Metropolitan Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Jos. Felicia Daliop-Somela reports.
Pledging allegiance to uphold and protect the Catholic faith as unto God, the Metropolitan Archbishop was vested with the pallium, a symbol of authority and responsibility as a shepherd to the people of God.
I have you and all the priests of Jos Archdiocese as worthy supporters, indispensable collaborators, without whom I strongly believe I may not be able to succeed in this new assignment as the Archbishop of Jos.
The representative of the Holy Father in Nigeria, Apostolic Nuncio Antonio Filipazzi, encouraged the congregation to unite and promote God's kingdom on earth by shunning violence, corruption, and ethnicity.
Francis said, the pallium is a sign that the shepherds do not live for themselves, but for a shift in every place and situation.
His grace has equally continued from where his predecessor left in the consolidation of peace and security in Plateau State.
The celebration marked the installation of Archbishop Matthew Ishaya Audu as Archbishop of Archdiocese of Jos, his first anniversary in Jos and 20th Episcopal ordination anniversary. In Jos, Felicia Daliop Samaila, NTA News.
And that's it from Jos. There's more reports on Nationwide with Lydia in Abuja.
Thank you so much, Sinret. Parents have been reminded that failure to ensure that their children or wards attend and complete primary and junior secondary school education may send them to jail for a month or two. This came to the fore at a public dialogue on partnership policy for universal basic education policy delivery in Nigeria. Thomas Ogbetere reports.
The public dialogue was organized to generate inputs for the establishment of partnership performance framework for universal basic education in Nigeria. It is also aimed at advocating, mobilizing and sensitizing stakeholders in the nation's education sector to be alive to their responsibilities as enshrined in the Free, Compulsory and Universal Basic Education Act of 2004.
Some leaders of public primary and junior secondary schools are now disregarding the free component of Universal Basic Education Act by collecting money and selling books in different guise with the excuse that it is no longer practicable for government to fund free primary, junior and secondary education.
Whatever the collaboration they do in terms of training of teachers, provision of infrastructure and instructional material, they are all for state. People doesn't have a school of its own. We are only intervening in all the activities that is being done at the state and local government level.
The need for effective monitoring and reporting conduct of teachers and other staff of public schools, compliance of management of schools with the free tuition and books of the basic education program, and the provision of effective security system for all public primary and junior secondary schools across the country were also advocated at the public policy dialogue. In Abuja, Thomas Ogbetere, NTA News.
Mina is waiting in our Enugu studios with more reports. Mina.
Thank you, Lydia. Good evening and welcome to Enugu. Keying into the federal government's agenda of economic diversification, Enugu state government is facilitating the development of infrastructure and bureaucratic processes required for investment inflow into the state. Speaking at the official unveiling of the integrated industrial hub, the Lion Business Park in Enugu State, Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi assured investors that the project is a one-stop investment center. Susan Eze has details.
The Lion Business Park is a direct offshoot of the first ever Enugu Investment Summit, organized by the Ugwuanyi administration in 2016 to woo investors into the state. The park is designed to be an industrial cluster featuring import and export markets, technology village, and other features. Governor Ugwuanyi is convinced that the initiative is a game changer.
We fervently expect the collaboration between the state government and the Land Business Park to transform Enugu State into an economic industrial hub, the abundant job and wealth creation. I know that the people of Enugu State and Nigeria in general will benefit immensely from this initiative.
Other stakeholders noted that the initiative aligns with the federal government's economic diversification agenda.
It is time to have such projects at a time like this, when the federal government is driving everyone to disengaging from so much concentration on the oil sector to the non-oil sector.
Any effort to translate or transform our raw materials into products and services, that is what would ensure sustainable development of this system.
The Lion Business Park is within the Enugu Industrial Park Free Trade Zone. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
The wife of Enugu State Governor, Mrs. Monica Ugwuanyi, has charged students of secondary schools in the state to speak out against social vices meted out to them both at home and in the society. Mrs. Ugwai was speaking at the sensitization workshop titled Bridging the Gap 2.0 at Queen's College, Enugu. James Oparicocha reports.
Sensitization workshop with topics like fundamentals of career solution, finding and fulfilling your life assignment, youth and social vices, causes, effects, and solutions were aimed at exposing the students to choose the right path to life while having the boldness to speak out when molested.
GBV is any act or evil that is perpetrated on a child or an adult or a male child because of their gender, either as a result of relationship or as a result of superiority presentation or many more. The subject area that we are doing better in your studies, and because of your passion, the counselor, the principal, the head of department of the unit where you are, and the board, joining hands together will make it work.
Wife of Enugu State Governor, in her speech advised the students to remain focused in their quest to become great men and women in the society.
At this age, you don't need drug, you don't need alcohol when you are not of age. Even if you are of age, you are 20 and you are still in school, you need your brain.
She challenged the students, especially the females, to always speak out when they feel threatened or abused, both at home, in school, or within their environment. The students had the opportunity to ask questions on areas they were not well clarified. In Enugu, James Oparicocha, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's back to Lydia in Abuja for the rest of Nationwide.
Many thanks, Mina. The ongoing strike action by the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PASAN, has continued to cripple activities of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly. Correspondent Nsika Kokon is standing by with the situation report.
A shadow of itself for almost 1 month due to industrial action by the workers. They are canvassing for financial autonomy of the legislative arm of government. The entire premises is dissected with overgrown weeds. Security agents were on ground to protect property, while entrance to the premises is still under lock and key, with some members of the union hanging around the gates chanting the solidarity song.
There's no way out that we will not be at home if what we are looking for is not implemented.
When we have autonomy, there's going to be a separation of power. There's going to be check and balances.
Not been trained for the past 10 years.
A legal practitioner, Salvanus Obot, while speaking on the benefit of financial autonomy to the legislature, says it will enable the practice of democracy that will ensure checks and balance, where all departmental budgets will form the state budget.
It's a constitutional requirement. We must, as a nation, respect our constitution.
The union members are hopeful that all stakeholders will join hands to press on the National Assembly to amend the relevant laws that will give financial autonomy to the legislature. In Uyo, Nsika Okon, NTA News.
There appears not to be an end to the ongoing industrial action embarked upon by the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria and the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria over non-implementation of financial autonomy. After waiting for about 2 hours in the conference room of the Ministry of Labour and Employment, leadership of the unions had to stage a walkout, saying the minister kept them far longer than necessary, despite the fact that the invitation sent to them stated when the meeting should commence. Efforts by the permanent secretary of the ministry, Peter Yerima Yafa, to prevail on the unions to return for the meeting fell on deaf ears. Afterwards, the minister spoke to newsmen on the development.
Send people to let them know, to let the union members know that they should give some more time. Because there is no point going to do a meeting that will be fruitless. because any agreement reached here will be put into action with timelines for implementation. So if we don't have a paper that is already ready to go, then there will be no point going to go and do a talk show. So we ask them to give us some time.
Dr. Ngige said the meeting is postponed to enable government's negotiating team harmonize all issues from the Memorandum of Understanding reached at separate meetings with tiers and arms of government. The All Progressives Congress Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee has challenged the youth to contest for every available elective position in Nigeria. Chairman of the committee, Governor Mai Malabuni, in a message at the interactive session by the APC Professionals Forum in Abuja, says the party will compensate those who contest and fail. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
Since its formation as a political party, the All Progressives Congress has adopted the Young Professionals Forum as key in propagating some of the party's activities, particularly during elections. In most cases, they carry out this task behind the scene. In a different approach, the group has decided to engage leadership of the party and some political office holders of APC extraction for an update in the activities of the Buhari administration so far.
If policymakers, political appointees now from our party can engage with our professionals, stakeholders in the party in reading out their outstanding achievements and performances.
Show me any government that has brought in a social program that touched directly to the people, that has a direct link with the masses. As I'm talking to you now, if you go to villages, people the bank are full with people taking their 20,000 naira from the PW works.
Garba Shehu is the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, and is optimistic on the government's position that Nigerians will remain united.
A lot of these people who are calling for secessions, they are the problem of this country. And I'm happy that reasonable voices are now rising. Nigerians want to be one, they want to continue. Yes, there are problems, and we are hoping that as people united and loving of one another, we'll come together and solve our own problems.
On the issue of security, Garba Shehu said efforts are ongoing to enable government to build on the successes achieved so far. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Every season has its peculiarities. As such, with the commencement of the Ramadan fast, essential food commodities have skyrocketed in markets around Suleja. Kama in this market survey looks at this phenomenon, which traders attribute to higher demand for the commodities.
The Suleja Modern Market in Niger State, officially referred to as IBB Market, is rated by analysts as one of the busiest markets in North Central, made popular because it attracts customers from neighboring FCT and beyond who cash into the opportunity of buying items cheaper. But it is Ramadan and the story is different, as prices of consumables have recorded an increase.
Like this one now, normally we sell for 4-5. Maybe buy 4-3, sell 4-5. Now it's 5,000. For example, now Gary, that one is 500. Now.
Nura Dauda, a major tomato seller in the market and other fruit dealer in Suleja, said that the price of tomatoes had gone up from 500 naira a basket to 1,000 naira. The same applies to Gary, beans, rice, egg, Irish potatoes, plantain, and vegetables, which are mostly used in delicacies for the break of fast. Ladi Aloga, a housewife who laments the increase in the cost of foodstuffs, appeals to government to help check inflation.
We are begging them to please do something about it. Anything that they feel they can do that can save the situation, that can bring out the cost of things, they should do it and help the masses.
However, Islamically, Sheikh Muhammad Husseini of Suleja IBB Market Mosque maintains that it is exploitative to hike food prices in Ramadan and urge traders to desist for the sake of Allah.
We must have to show mercy, we have to pity anyone that will come to you. You have the power to less the price of what you are selling. You should have used the opportunity of this Ramadan and less the price.
Kama, NTA News.
The National Orientation Agency is coming up with strategies to upscale the quality of effective service delivery in the public sector for good governance. To this end, officials of selected agencies and parastatals are being trained to meet this goal. Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila reports.
Deputy Superintendent Egbadon Augustine from the Public Relations Unit of the Nigeria Customs Service is among participants at the 3-day workshop expected to impact on curbing hate speech and fake news in the workplace.
The bottlenecks in our procedures have actually hindered service delivery. He just made some reference, and which is very theoretical. We must grow with the trend. We must grow with technology. Gone are the days where something should be stuck in your office because the boss is not around.
15 government agencies are gathered here to interface in stemming poor quality service delivery in the Nigerian public sector.
Nigerians begin to see a civil service that is more responsive, more caring, and more problem solving in terms of its approach to how it handles the affairs of citizens.
Hate speech is fake news, and that thing is compromising the national security. So we intend to address that.
It is hoped that for Egbadon Augustine and other participants, the knowledge gained will put them through in bringing the expected change in the Nigerian public sector. In Abuja, Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
And that concludes Nationwide. Before we go, remember to join NTA in the stand against rape and rapists. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. Have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.